Hello everybody, this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions, bringing you another Bronze Masters League Series game. Today we're going to be looking at a PvZ that I played about a week ago. It's a very interesting game. It's actually going to be a very short game because, well, my opponent's going to try and cheese me. So we'll have to look at the build, see exactly how it works mechanically, and then understand why this build is effective against pretty much any type of cheese play. Against the 6 pool, it's a little bit more scarier than it is against the 10 pool that I am going to go up against. But in general, it's a very well executed build, and if you can adjust your mechanics correctly, you should be able to master it fairly easily. So we're going to be doing our standard 9 pylon, going into our gateway, and then we're going to be pretty much doing a normal, what I would call a normal PvT build, or a PvP build. You get one extractor up, or yeah, one assimilator up, and then get your cybernetics core as quickly as possible. And really the only difference that this build has compared to any of the other matchups is the Zealot. The Zealot's kind of a very key element because you're going to make a Zealot in anticipation for a 6 pool, and then when you don't see a 6 pool, you're going to immediately cancel that Zealot to give you the flexibility to immediately expand. So second pylon's going to go ahead and get down so we don't get pylon blocked. We're going to get guys in gas as quickly as possible. And then once the gateway is finished, we're going to pull off a probe and get down the cybernetics core here ASAP. Now, a lot of people like to do a full wall-off here, especially the lower leagues for this matchup. Personally, depending on the map, I would say that that's appropriate. Personally, on this map, I like being completely in the main. It's just to me it's a lot quicker, and you don't have to worry about pulling probes early for travel time and things like that. So going to be sending out a probe to do a little bit of scouting. I just basically go out here and touch the watchtower just so we can see whether or not anything is coming. And if we don't see anything coming, we're just going to go ahead and expand. Now, what should have happened? The mothership core actually should have been built before the expansion. So obviously our mothership core is going to be a little bit late, and here's about the time where I'm like, oh crap, need to pull some probes. Obviously we get the lings off the pylon, and he's going to try and focus down the other one, but the mothership core is going to get out in time, and we're really not going to have too terribly much problem. And then we're just going to get to chrono boosting out a Zealot. And once the mothership core is out, assuming your opponent doesn't go for like a super early speed, you're more or less 100% safe. We can see that speed is just now being started for our opponent, and that's mainly as a function of his extractor timing was significantly later than normal. Personally, if you're going to 10 pool, I think that the extractor should come down pretty much once you get your what would be your second 10th drone. Just play down the extractor and get guys in it as quickly as possible. You should still have enough monies to get another your 6 lings immediately once the spawning pool is done, but your gas will be up a lot quicker, so getting speed is going to be, it's going to be a lot quicker to get your speed rather than waiting until like the five-ish minute mark to get that down. So warp gate research is almost done here, and this is about the time where I usually start to think about sending out a probe. If your opponent does cheese, they're going to try and compensate for that. If the cheese fails, they have to compensate in some manner. They either have to tech up really fast, or they have to expand really fast. And that is where you can kind of edge out your opponent, because you're on a slightly more solid base. Your economy's doing a lot better than your opponent's. Your expansion is up and running. and you're at this point my warp gate research is done. So that is kind of my edge on my opponent. I've got the tech, I've got the upgrades on the way, and my economy's booming. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable. The mothership core has enough energy for a recall, so if need be, I can always recall. And yeah, pretty much everything is hinky-dory. Now, I do move out, go ahead and plant my zealot in here to finish my wall off, and at this point, I stop probe production just for this small little tack. I will slowly creep it back in little by little, and then I will actually also get my robotics facility just because that is what I want to fall back on. I gotta say, okay, if I'm gonna go and apply pressure, my opponent is probably going to react with a whole bunch of units. Now, at this point, your opponent could potentially be on roaches, and you want to make sure that you're potentially ready for it. So, gonna come in here and kill out these two overlords, which is quite nice. Get a lot of damage done and keep him supply block for a fair amount of time. He's going to come in here and try and get a good surround. Overall, he just doesn't have enough units. I don't even think I really needed the force fields. As you can see, I haven't lost anything the entire game, so I'm in a very, very good position to take out this third and then just immediately move up to the natural. And on top of that, since I focus on getting out my +1 as quickly as possible, I can pretty much fall back on, depending on what your opponent does, you can either just pretty much walk in here and win, or you can even fall back and just continue to tech up and get further ahead. And so my opponent does go ahead and GG out, and that's more or less it. So the biggest thing about this build that I like is it does give you the flexibility to deal with any type of cheese early game, and then it also gives you the opportunity to get a very, very easy +1 attack timing where your opponent may or may not be on roaches. If they are on roaches, it really isn't the end of the world, because zealots, technically speaking, a zealot versus a roach that doesn't have speed is going to win. So you should be able to deal with that fairly easily. And a lot of times they won't have a lot of roaches out. They might only have like 5 or 6. So it gives you the opportunity to do this little timing attack, which is quite nice, and it can be very, very potent, especially in the lower leagues. So I hope you guys enjoyed kind of the overall structure of the analysis. Now, one person wanted me to do a little bit of benchmarking. So I don't do a whole lot of benchmarking myself. It really depends on the ebb and flow of the game. Personally, at least one full base of saturation and a half base of saturation is usually about the time that I move out. That gives me the flexibility of continuing on probe production if this goes sour and is not able to really do anything. But generally speaking, by around the 10-minute mark, if you're going for a super macro intensive game that doesn't involve any type of timings and things like that, I would say if you're basically just sitting in your base, you probably want to hit around 50 probes by the 10-minute mark. So obviously I'm probably nowhere near that benchmark per se, but I've done damage. I feel comfortable of where I'm at. We can see that, let's see, Zerg opponent is on, let's see, I guess I could just look at the units and be like 37. So yeah, so you can see comparably, my probes are fairly similar to his drone count. So that is a good way to test where you are comparative to your opponent. You can kind of do a comparison just like that, go back into your replay and see, here's where my probes are compared to his. Should I have more? Should I have less? And judge it that way. That's the best way that I can suggest to people to do benchmarking. I guess Filter StarCraft did several videos back in the Wings of Liberty days where he did a lot of really good benchmarking, just saying, okay, by this time you should have X number of SCVs, X number of Marines, Marauders, and that's how you should go about your play style. It works for a Terran player just because a lot of times Terran players play a lot turtley, but I think that's all I really have got to say about that. I might do a back to the basics on benchmarking, just for a little bit more clarification. But overall, I think it's fairly straightforward. You can kind of do your own benchmarking just with going back into your own replay. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down in the lower left-hand corner. Also, if you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to share with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. It's all greatly appreciated. Help promote my channel. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to leave any comments down in the comment section below if you've got any questions about the build. Also, if you would like me to do a viewer cast of one of your replays, there's always that email in the description. Feel free to check that out and send me your replay, and I will more than happily cast your video. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next game.